happy first knitting podcast episode of 2026. This is my 9th episode of the knitting podcast, and I have honestly been slacking so much with my knitting podcasts. December was intense. I uploaded 23 knitting videos, and one of the reasons why I haven't posted this video, why I haven't sat down to film it, is because I was so overwhelmed with the thought of going through and showing all my finished objects. That is such a luxury problem to have, so I figured I would let myself off the hook and say clean slate. If you're interested in seeing any of the finished objects that I have for November, December, look through my last 23 videos and you will see a bunch of socks, some great finished pieces. My personal highlight is probably going to be the forest spell socks that I knitted as a Hail Mary when my first attempt at Christmas socks just absolutely failed. So that is a highlight that I can definitely recommend. The pattern is a free design from Drops, and I knitted from scraps. I cannibalized some dying whips or UFOs, and the socks are great. They're currently in the wash, otherwise I would show you them, but all of my knitted socks are in the wash at the moment because it's so cold in Sweden. But to get things rolling, I will not be showing any finished objects, but I have 2 whips that I'm currently working on. My first whip is a bit of a womp womp because I am re-knitting something that I thought I would have finished by Christmas. In December, I cast on the Wanderer pullover for my partner. I have since had him try it on, realised it's too small and I don't like the construction. This is knitted flat in the original pattern, and even though my colourwork tension is really, really neat, I don't like the bulky seamed together raglan seams. So I have cast on a new version of it, which I am modifying to be knit in the round. It is slightly bigger. I think I added 10 or 15 stitches in total in this round version, but I am also not seaming it, therefore not losing any of the circumference. So it is quite a lot bigger than the original try. I have knitted the entire body and the first pattern repeat, which is the point where you join the sleeves. I have knitted the first sleeve with the first pattern repeat as well, and I am currently working on the second sleeve. This is a pattern with 3 colours. My partner chose the base colour in the Sandnes garn Alpakka. This is 100% alpaca, and then the contrasting colours, this off-white and this aubergine, are the alpaca wool combination. So I think it's 60% alpaca and 40% wool, and it is slightly thicker than the base colour, but I don't think that will matter. We picked this yarn, the base yarn, up in Sandnes when we were visiting in the summer, when we were at the factory outlet, and the yarn is just incredibly soft. I think it was secondhand sorted because the dye lot was quite inconsistent. When I had knitted the first panel for this, don't even know where it is anymore, but when I knitted the first panel, I could see a very harsh line in the middle of one ball. So it wasn't even knotted together 2 different dye lots or something strange. It was just a harsh line where the dye hadn't seeped into the fibres the same way before and after. So I have omitted that part now that I have unravelled the first portion. And I am now using unfixed yarn. I just unravelled it and wound it up into a ball because I was not going to faff around with stretching it or steaming it to make sure the kinks work out, because this is going to be wet blocked quite gently, but just the bumpiness is going to work out. It's going to be perfectly fine. I have so much more of this yarn than I had expected. I calculated that I would need 13 balls based on the thickness and another pattern that I had looked at for my partner, but I wildly overestimated how much I needed, so I'm going to have enough to make myself something. And this very soft, medium-sized yarn, this is just above a fingering weight, I would say. I could technically knit a pair of socks with this and call it a sock yarn, except it's 100% alpaca and it's not superwash, which is really important. But I think I might knit myself something quite close-fitting, either an undershirt, which is something that I am debating. If you saw my knitting bingo video for 2026, you know, knitting an undershirt is part of that. But also, this colour is so lovely. I would love to knit myself a tight-fitting cardigan, so one of the Petite Knit patterns, for example. I've never knitted anything from Petite Knit before, so this might be the year where I actually do it, and this might be the yarn I do it with. But that is second. This is not a priority, casting on something new for myself, because I have so many whips that I want to finish, to clear my needles in January, to have a proper reset. Video is coming out about that too. But once I have cleared my needles, I think that I will have a much fresher outlook on progress, projects, and I will then be able to find something lovely to do with my hands again. So this pattern, the original version, I knit a size medium because the gauge that I met for the sort of fabric and the colour work effect that I wanted didn't look right in the gauge or the needle size that was recommended. So I sized down on needles and I knit a size medium to fit my partner, who is normally a size large. Quite tall, not very wide, but tall, and a tall Swede is going to wear a size large. So this is not an official size, it's not an official construction. I've modified everything. The cuffs are not a size that is recommended either. It is what fit my partner the best. I ripped it out once after it was too small, and this is a 60 stitch circumference that I'm then working up until 110 increase and then knitting straight stockinette up until the armpit. I'm knitting it on a 4mm needle in the Sandnes garn Alpakka and Alpakka ull, and so far I am so surprised with myself that I haven't lost steam with this, because normally if I meet such a big hurdle, I would probably have decided that it wasn't going to be worth it. The first version didn't work out. After finishing the entire colourwork yoke, I struggled so much with it. I spent so much time knitting on it because it was a secret, so I was hiding and sneaking around with it for a month. But now I'm really excited, and it's a great knit. I'm now about to get up until the colourwork yoke, and I'm going to have to do some calculating because the decreases are different for the sleeve portion and the body portion. So the rate of the decreases to get the proper raglan lines is, I'm going to have to look at it and figure something out. But that is for next week, Elizabeth, to figure out. I am not doing all of that thinking today. And you can see the length difference. I have quite a lot of stockinette left to do on 110 stitch round. So a bunch of stockinette, left before I have to do any thinking. Back to the sofa it goes. My second whip is really exciting too. This is also a reknit. Who am I? Who have I become? This second whip is the Juicy Fruit Mittens by Knittinglotta or Lotta Lundin Designs. They are gorgeous mittens with a lemon pattern. I knitted this pattern the first time around a year or two ago, probably two, and this is the first version. I knitted these on a 2mm needle, 2.5mm needle in sock yarn. I should probably wash these. These look a bit worse for wear. 2.5mm needle on a sock yarn, so 80% wool, 20% nylon, superwash treated, not to felt. It was a light fingering weight yarn, not just a fingering weight, light fingering weight, and that was a mistake because these, no matter how gorgeous they are just not suitable for the Swedish winter or the Swedish fall, autumn. It's just too thin and it lets through too much air because the fibres aren't gripping into each other by the virtue of being superwash treated and a nylon blend. I could have figured that out before knitting a full pair, but I didn't. And ever since, I've loved wearing these, but I have realised that these are not perfect, and I want them to be perfect. So I finally got my act together, and over the summer in Norway, we visited one of the many lovely local yarn stores, and I found the Rauma finull in a white and in a bit of a darker yellow because I wanted the contrast to be even bigger than my original mittens. Those are a bit too low contrast and you can't really see the hard work that I put into them with the colour work. So I picked up these. I purchased with my own money. I purchased 2 balls of the Rauma finull and I have the pattern. I still have it from somewhere, but since we moved I have not found it. I know it's somewhere hiding in a box, one of the 3 boxes that we still haven't unpacked, but I borrowed Knittinglotta's book, which is called Sticka vantar med Knittinglotta, and she also has this in English. That is something that I found out over Christmas. It's called Whole Lotta Mittens, I think, and she has just a bunch of gorgeous patterns. So the juicy fruit is what I'm knitting, but she also has one with Elvis. And what else can I show you without showing you one of the charts? Penguins. She has the most beautiful mind. It's a gorgeous book. I highly recommend it. I borrowed it from my library, and if you can do the same, do it. If you want to buy it for yourself, do it. She's a lovely person. She helped me. She was so helpful when I had an issue with the pattern the first time around, because I had messed up something and I asked her for help on Instagram, and she immediately responded and was super kind and very helpful and gave me a part of the pattern to look at when I didn't have the physical copy with me. So 10 out of 10 Knittinglotta. I have finished the first mitten. I am currently doing the thumb. This is knitted with a thumb gusset, so it's very neat and fitted and grows into itself from the bottom. It is made with a picot edge that you then sew in to make a lovely little edge detail. And I have knitted this far on the second one. I picked up the stitches for the thumb because I knew that if I leave the thumbs to last, I'm going to procrastinate and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to finish this in just, give me 5 minutes and I'll be finished with this because I'm just at the decreases. Then give me another 40 minutes and I'll be finished with the second. Then I'll probably do some weaving in of ends, and then this evening is just going to be speed knitting this pattern. It's so easy to follow, it's so intuitive, and the pattern is great. 10 out of 10 recommend. And now for a very exciting purchase portion because I went to Norway over New Year's as well, and when in Norway one buys yarn. I had a yarn buying ban or pause for November and December, and then on the 30th of December we went to Tromsø, or we went on the 29th, but the 30th was the only day that the yarn store was open where we wanted to go, and I said I'm not going to miss this just because I have a rule not to buy yarn, because otherwise I would buy this and have it shipped to Sweden, and that is ridiculous. So I bought 300 grams of the Luna 100% Norwegian wool, lamb's wool. This I am planning to use for a pair of long johns. I was umming and ahhing about this. I had initially another yarn in mind, but I couldn't find that in the store that we visited. So that I had chosen a beigey colour for, because I was like, oh, a pair of long johns, they will have to be functional, and I'll knit them in a beige colour. Boo to that. Why not have pea green long johns out of Norwegian lamb's wool? So this is a great second alternative for me, I think, and I'm very excited to cast them on once I've cleared my needles. I think I have 8 whips that I want to finish. Some of them are a lot easier than others, but I want to have those cleared off my needles before I cast on this very big project, because otherwise I am going to lose the plot completely. These are not going to be finished by the time I need them, or they are technically going to be finished by the time I need them the next time around. So when winter rolls around, I am going to have a proper pair of long johns, but I'm not going to have them finished for this winter, this season that we're currently in. The next yarn that I picked up is actually a drops yarn. I hadn't intended on buying drops in Norway because I wanted to get special yarn, but I have a very specific project in mind because I want to knit a pair of socks with a stained glass effect. And I have a black yarn. This is Viking Garn Alpakka Storm. This is 40% alpaca superfine, 40% merino wool, and 20% nylon fibre. So this is very soft, and this is going to be the arches between the panes of coloured glass, or stained glass. I just said it and then it just slipped my mind. And then I was looking at very many different variegated yarns in rainbow colours, and the first and only yarn that I found that I thought was going to be variegated enough, because I don't want a gradient. I don't want the top to be red and then go into an orange and then to a yellow in a very slow gradient. I want it to look like an actual stained glass window with so many different colours. And to get that effect, I would need to have something that is very tightly variegated, or where the colour shift is very quick. So I settled for this. This is Drops Fiesta print. This is superwash treated sock wool, 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and this is 110 meters for 50 grams, and this is 133 meters for 50 grams. So little thinner than this, and I am very excited to make a pattern for these because I want to make my own pattern. I have so many inspiration pictures saved, and I have started with Stitch Fiddle, but I don't want to give myself the go-ahead just yet before I have finished some of my current whips. So this is a very exciting project. Next up is just a very silly purchase that doesn't really have a project. I just wanted to embrace the silliness and the joy of glitter. So I got the Paya from Filcolana. This is 67% viscose and 33% metallic polyester. This is 25 grams, 245 meters. And I have this lovely green yarn. This is a tube, a netted tube. And I don't know what I want to use this for. It's not super scratchy, but it's also not super pleasant. So I will hold this together with something else probably. And you will know when I know what I choose to make of this. But this was an impulse purchase and I did regret it. My mother actually has a sweater that was knitted by one of her closest friends in uni. And it's this lovely concoction of absurd greens. Some of them are glittery, some of them are fluffy. And I think when I saw this, I saw myself making one of those sweaters for myself. That is just a mix-up of all things beautiful and absurd. So maybe that is what I'll make with this yarn. It's absolutely falling to pieces. It can't grip anything. So I'm going to have to store this very carefully to avoid just yarn bath. But you will see what happens with this. I will see what happens with this, I guess. The next project that I bought yarn for is a scarf for my partner. We were in the yarn store and he was looking around at things and he very, very carefully asked if I would be down to knit him a scarf because the ones that he has are just too narrow and he would like something a bit thicker and something more colourful, which I love for a man to express style with colour. In Scandinavia in particular, a lot of the male styling is just neutrals and that's it. So we went around looking at different yarn and he touched everything and compared everything, and he was very sweet about asking how do I think about this. I don't want it to be a single colour, but I don't want it to be too heavily variegated. What does it mean holding things together and how is it going to look? So and this is 100% his decision. I didn't influence him at all. I didn't give him suggestions. So this is a 100% fuck around and find out situation for him. I'm going to knit him a scarf with this and we will see. I think it's going to be great and it's a learning opportunity for him as well to see how yarns work together and what is possible with fibres. So he chose the Lang Yarns Yak, Merino Extra Fine Yak. This is 70% Merino Extra Fine wool and 30% yak in this beautiful rusty orange. It's a bit mild. It has some specks of lighter and darker. And for this, I got my first ever Malabrigo yarn. This is the mohair in 866 Arco Iris. This is a lace weight yarn. So, hang on. So 210 meters for 25 grams. It's 72% mohair and 28% silk in this gorgeous orchid colorway. So purplish, bluey, down into a murky green. And this I'm going to hold together with the red or the orange to make probably a simpler triangle scarf version, to have it thin enough or skinny enough to be able to tie it together, but thick enough to actually have some warmth and bulk around the neck and lower face and being able to tuck it into a jacket. Because one of the things with skinny scarves is that you have to wind it so many times around your face and neck, and then you have these little ends that you just have to hide away somewhere. because they don't really make sense, and if you don't tuck them in they are going to blow away. So I want to give him a scarf that is actually usable for the entirety of the scarf, not just something that he will have to tuck away the ends of. So these together are going to be a scarf for my partner. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be lovely. And then the next thing is again an egotistical purchase. I bought myself some Noro yarn. I have been influenced. I've seen people knit with this and be just absolutely enamored by the Noro yarn brand range. And I picked this up out of the yarn cupboard in the store, and I was like, this is so lovely. And it's quite absurd. It's a light purple speckled with different colours. I never wear purple. I used to love purple when I was a child, so much so that I had my room painted purple. My mother and I painted it purple together, and then I lived in a purple room for years, and now I hate purple. But I want to return to an appreciation of purple. So this is the Silk Garden Sock Solo. It's 40% wool, 25% silk, 25% polyamide, and 10% mohair. So this is all of the good stuff. And I am planning to knit myself a pair of socks with this, probably a pair of lace socks, because it's variegated enough to bring some life into it, but not variegated enough to completely hide a lace pattern. And since the yarn is very uneven, hang on, I'll show you some of the strand thickness differences. These are two strands of the same yarn within the same ball, so I don't think that it's going to be possible to make something super uniform in texture, so I want to lean into that. So this is one of the yarns that I'm most excited to knit with, because it presents me with such a challenge. I then also bought Lang Yarn's Mil Colori Socks and Lace Luxe Superwash. This is a 100 gram, 400 meters, so I will have a lot of this yarn. But it is 73% virgin wool and 25% polyamide and 2% polyester. So the polyester is the speckled glitter that runs through. And this is also a gradient that goes from a bluish purple up until a pink, orange, and ends with a lovely yellow. So this is also going to be socks. I haven't decided what kinds of socks just yet, but I also bought the Lang Yarn Javol Superwash, 25% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. This is 50 grams and 210 meters, so these two are very similar in thickness. So I might do something fun with these two together with a very loud contrast against a very basic grey. So those are my purchases since last time. I don't have any purchase plans up next. I do, although I might actually get just one ball of the Drops Nord or Drops, one of the sock yarns. I have written it down somewhere, that I need to finish one of my other hibernating UFOs, because I want to clean my needles of that project as well. And then after buying that, I am going on a 3-month-long no-buy for yarn, because I have so much fun yarn here. I'm working through some of the yarn that I bought over the summer, and it feels so good to actually use what I bought. Picking out the balls, remembering back to when I bought it in Norway, what I had planned for it, all of the the potential that I saw in the yarn back then, and now getting to realise some of that potential. And I don't want to wait too long between buying a yarn and actually using it. So this yarn is going to carry me through so much time and so many hours of lovely entertainment and calm relaxation and crafting time on my sofa. And that is what I'm going to go back to right now. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you are interested in any of my finished objects from December, go back and look through my channel. I made a playlist of my Vlogmas 2025. You can look at the vlog for the Wanderer pullover, the first failed version. I had so much fun filming those videos, and I am very excited to actually be able to wrap it up with a finished object within a few weeks, hopefully. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.